Good morning and welcome to the Sunrise Safari, where we're hopefully actually going to see the sunrise. It's been a long time. We were lucky yesterday to end the drive off with a beautiful sunset. My name is Taylor McCurdy, and on camera with me today is Captain Dr. VM. And we will be, driving around in the Sabi sand, hopefully trying to find all sorts of animals and goodies that VM has lost off of the car. So we're also doing a bit of a treasure hunt today. Maybe my pen will pop up somewhere too. Now, for those of you that have never joined us on a live and interactive safari, welcome. If you'd like to chat to any of us, myself, Brent or James, all you have to do is hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can also talk to us via the YouTube chat. Now, we're going to be doing a little bit of a boundary patrol just to see what animals went walking around during the night, and if any of them decided to pop onto Djuma. And hopefully, we'll come back to you with some interesting, feedback. Anyways, off you go. James is on bushwalk today, and I bet he can't wait to say hello.
Good morning, everybody. Here I find myself on my own 2 size 6 feet. My name is James Hendry. And on camera today is Jean-Ray. Hello, Jean-Ray. Lovely to have you with us. Herbert is up front. He is doing a bit of tracking for us. And our objective, of course, is to look at the small and wonderful things we have around foot level. The first that we're going to look at today is something called the hare's tail. Now, I don't know if you are familiar with hare's tails. Perhaps you have been inundated or imbued with a sense of superstition, and you keep a rabbit's foot around your neck, perhaps, or a hare's tail, for example, as a good luck charm. Well, this plant is called the hare's tail, and it looks quite fluffy and sweet, doesn't it? It looks like the kind of thing you might want to sort of rub up against your face. Jean-Ray, would you like to rub this against your face? Let me assure you, you would not. It is filled with very nasty little thorns. And if you were to rub your face against this, you would come away with a whole lot of spikes in your cheek. And let's face it, nobody likes spikes in their cheek. Remember, please, to talk to us using the hashtag #SafariLive. And, of course, you may send us your comments on the hare's tail using the YouTube chat stream. There we are. It's quite attractive, really, when you aren't trying to hold it. Good. Okay, let us go across to Brent Leo Smith. He is driving around the place with his enormous personality, looking for enormous animals.
Coming from the smallest man with the biggest personality at Safari Live, good morning, my name is Brent Leo Smith, and I'm quite colourful, according to James Hendry, as you can see by my bright red scarf. I've got Craig, aka the Batman, on camera, and we are going to try look for my nemesis since I've been back, which is Thandi. So I know Tristan had her yesterday, so I'm just going to be going very, very slowly as the light's still quite bad, quite difficult to spot tracks at the moment. Stopping, switching off every couple of minutes to listen, to see if we can hear any sounds of alarm calls. So I'm very excited to be back on drive after doing some town admin for the last 2 days. Okay. And of course, remember, if you have any questions, hashtag Safari Live on Twitter, or you can just pop it on whichever feed you're watching on. And a very wonderful good morning to Tanisha. Tanisha, my favorite part of Safari Drive, everything. So it all depends, Tanisha. Every day is different, and some days the birding's fantastic, some days the leopards are fantastic, some days the lions are great. Sometimes it's all about the bugs or the trees. So I think the thing I love about being on safari every day is the diversity of what we get to see, what we get to talk about, what we get to discover. Oh dear, that is a very difficult little silhouette, but size, shape, time of the day, it's most likely, but you can't say this for sure because it was just a silhouette, size, shape and time of the day. It's probably an African goshawk. Unfortunately, it wasn't calling. just around sunrise. African goshawks are frequently very active. They fly quite high and they call constantly. A very distinct call, something you would never expect from a predatory bird. I'll play it for you a little later. I just want to get through this little dip and look for tracks here. This is always a good spot to look for tracks. Now, according to Tristan, Thandi was hunting furiously last night. So if she didn't succeed, she might have kept moving. And if she was coming from that side, she might have moved down into this area. So fingers crossed, and fingers crossed we catch up with little Shalamba. Okay. I'm going to get my tracking goggles on and hopefully find some tracks. Someone else who's looking for tracks, but all the way along our western boundary is Taylor McCurdy.
What are tracking goggles and where can I buy a pair of those? They sound fabulous. Do they look... What? Oh yes, we've got some drops. You know what that's from? There's some drops on the screen. VM is going to wipe the lens in a minute. I drove over a little bit of a branch that was on the road and it obviously has dew on it. And it sprayed me in the face. So I think that was the back spray from that branch. Oh, Kalina, Jason and Cheryl, hi Shez. You're wondering about my ankle. My ankle's fine. I took some anti-inflammatories, put some anti-inflammatory gel on. All is good. All is healthy. So yes, no, that's fine. I can do cartwheels and handstands again. I just rolled it a little bit. I think I'm so used to rolling that ankle that it just hurts for a small amount, and then it's fine. Now don't tell Brent. Can't tell him this because we've just snuck onto Mvubu Road trying to find VM's water bottle, but we haven't seen it just yet, so we're going to do sneaky just now and turn around and then go back up towards Buffelshoek boundary, because then I promise you we'll be starting our search. VM lost his water bottle yesterday. He suspects he lost it down this road because unfortunately Rusty, the car that Brent is driving, died in the show. It was quite funny, and then they had to get out and push start it, which was even more hilarious. And he thinks that as he got out in a fluster, it fell out of the car. Oh yes, that is so true. So basically Bex is reminding me, because I was sitting in final control while this was all happening after the bushwalk, annoying Kirsten and Rebecca, as I normally do, and then we're going to have to turn around because Brent is going to chase us with his walking stick. If he finds us that we're driving here, we'll go this way. Anyways, and we wondered if VM had offed Tristan and just thrown him in the bushes, because the next minute VM was in the car driving. We were like, what is even going on? It was all dark, you know. But Tristan came back to camp last night, so don't worry about that. All was good. We'll have to come back around and check for the water bottle a little bit later, as I'm sure Brent, if he sees something that looks foreign in the bush, he'll probably pick it up. So back to, I think we'll go all the way down for your tele-access. We'll go past the pan. We've got to be quiet and sneaky here. I think everybody's having coffee. They won't be in their rooms. I know that Lex and Chris like to get out fairly early in the morning. They're going out at Djuma.
Sorry about that technical glitch that we had there. I'm not sure what happened. I do apologize. But you know, these are the trials of the broadcasting high-definition signal out of the African wilderness. As you can see, off to my east, the sun is rising. Now, the microphone that I'm using is only in my head. Yes, that's what I said, it's in my head. So we do not have what is known as the ambient microphone, which means it's going to be difficult for you to hear some of the dawn sounds. But I'm going to shut up now for about 20 seconds and see if you can hear the sparrow calling to my right. Is that not a glorious sound? Okay. So what's happened now is that my microphone levels have been pushed up in the final control, which means that I must speak at this volume or you will all become deaf through the volume at which I will speak. Let's put the levels back down to normal now, Rebecca. Oh, no, I don't think you should. Okay. Right, we can talk normally now. So that was a grey-headed sparrow, often the first bird of the morning to start calling. A chip, chip, chirp, chip, chirp. And I must say, oh, there is the actual sun, Jean-Ray. Let's get it. I think I see the great golden orb coming up over the horizon. And that sound you can hear now is the sound of a game drive going out to explore the wilderness. No, I don't see the golden orb. I'm sorry about that. Do you see it, Chandra? No, he's looking very disappointed at my prediction of its emergence. Anyway, it's not an unusual expression for Chandra to have on his face when working with me. Sort of disdain and disapproval. While I try desperately to come to terms with my shortcomings and Chandre's lack of understanding for them, let's go across to Brent-Leo-Smith and see if he has managed to find footprints of the kitty he seeks.
Shortcomings. Well played, James. Well played. I'll give you that one. As Chandra and I are about the same height, and James is not. We'll just leave it at that. Unfortunately, we haven't found any footprints yet, but we've stopped and listened, and I just want to share the dawn chorus with you because it is quite beautiful this morning. So I'm going to keep quiet for about 30 seconds. I can hear a ground hornbill in the distance. Doo-doo, doo-doo. Franklins and hornbills. Hornbills working themselves into a frenzy. And this time in the morning, especially with the amount of rain we've had recently, listening is going to be our most powerful tool when it comes to finding the big cats. And because the ground's quite hard, with all the rain and moisture we've been having, so seeing tracks is quite difficult. However, after all this rain, it's nice and clear this morning, the sounds are going to carry nice and far while it's still cool. No, nothing yet. Let's keep moving. So nice and peaceful this morning. It is absolutely beautiful. And after 2 days of admin in town, it's very, very nice to be out on drive. Okay, let's send you across to Madam McCurdy and a beautiful sunrise.
Look at the beautiful view of the sun that we have. It's quite nice, hey? It's like we planned this, how James just showed you before the sun had actually popped up behind the tree line. Then Brent let you listen to all the birds. Now I'm going to show you the rest of the sunrise. Isn't that amazing and really gorgeous? Yay! The nice weather is back again. Goodbye, clouds. Bon voyage. See you at the end of the year. I'm hoping that that's going to be the last of the rain, because we've had quite a bit of it, and this greenery is going to last for a long time. All the dams are topped up. Just a couple of clouds lingering, you know. As usual, the ones you don't want, they always just hang around on the outskirts. But they're slowly moving off to the west at snail's pace. Just like the African land snails. Right, we didn't find Viam's water bottle. Also, Wendy's talking to us. She's squeaking. She only squeaks while we drive, so Viam has pinpointed it to the drive shaft. I just stood with a spanner and waved it and banged a few things, under the hood of the car, and then you know what I'm doing. Jamie is really good at that. If Jamie and VM were together, they would have fixed the car a long time ago. Oh my goodness, it totally is. Hang on, I have to get out the car. I'm very sorry. I've just seen a can. I need to pick it up. It's an old one. It's been here for a long time. Now, it's rusted. As you can see, the only reason I saw it was because this part is not rusted. In you go. Right, let me get back in the car. It is, I can't believe it's Friday the 13th. I forgot. I completely forgot. Sorry, Bex. I was climbing out the car. You were asking the question. May I have it again? Rest in peace, Snaily. Now, as we drive along Vuyatela Access, Friday the 13th. Any superstitions on safari is what Nick was asking. I don't think so. Ben? Any from your side?
No.
That guy with the mask. Are you talking about Jason? I don't want to see Jason out in the bush. That would be terrifying. I'll run. A leopard version of Jason is what VM is saying. Who is walking here? Let me go with Hyena. Hyena. It's hard to see tracks today. The ground is very hard. So, no, Nick, I can't think of any, but perhaps Brent and James can. They've been in the bush for a lot longer than I have, but I think it was just another day for us, really. I can't even remember what happened last year on Friday the 13th. Did we do anything? I don't think so. Anyways, so what we're going to do from here is we're going to go down Vuyatela Access. I'm going to check very carefully because there's quite a few nice animal pathways that the leopards will use, that the elephants will use. I'm really looking for anybody that has crossed onto Djuma, except if it's an antelope, because that's going to be really difficult to try and track. But if it's something big, like an elephant, a leopard, or a lion, perhaps a herd of buffalo, we will try and find them. That's what we're going to try and do today. Maybe we'll even go to Chitwa. It'll be nice. I'm feeling like a little Chitwa safari this morning. It'll be beautiful down there. Oh, it's so lovely. And I'm also going to be checking trees to obviously see if there's any leopards sitting in them, which will be lovely, which will be very nice. Now, like I said, not sure of any Friday the 13th bush superstitions, but maybe James will. Let's go and ask him.
No, I have no Friday the 13th bush superstitions. I'm not expecting the Grim Reaper to come walking out from behind that Sisyphus bush with his scythe to cut me down and take me to the other world. So, no, I think we'll be all right here. Not expecting a zombie elephant to come bustling out from behind that marula tree, even. Gendry agrees. He thinks that this is unlikely. Now, let us have a look at this grass species. This is an Eragrostis species, and while we consider which Eragrostis species it is, because I'm not actually sure, it looks like the sawtooth lovegrass, or Eragrostis superba, but I think the seeds are a bit small. So anybody who would like to help me may do so. That would be wonderful. I'll give you a closer look at it now. And while we consider this, apparently Cobalt would like to see a succulent today. I will try and find you a succulent. Of course, the great genius of succulent finding, and indeed, well, we should say probably kidnapping, is Scott Dyson. He is a very good succulent kidnapper, and in fact has inundated our camp with succulents at the moment. So we look something like a succulent garden in the camp at the moment. It's difficult to find a space on the table to eat through all the succulents that Scott has kidnapped just before his departure for the Masai Mara. But we'll see what we can find. There are a few of them around. I don't know any of their names, actually, other than the aloes. Ooh. What are you laughing at? This one has formed a nest here. Come over here, Jondry. There's a spider in here. Look how the spider has made itself a home. Isn't that amazing? It stuck all these little seeds together and made itself a home. You can just see little bits of silk in there with dew caught in the gossamer. No idea what kind of spider that is, I'm afraid. I don't want to break it open. I think that would be very unkind. Anyway, right, let's continue. What we are doing, I don't think I told you this at the beginning, which was very remiss of me, is that we are going towards Tundi, where Tundi was yesterday, and we're hoping to see if we can find the tracks of that female leopard and her cub. Herbert is convinced that the cub has been stashed somewhere around where Tristan was following her yesterday. That seems to make sense because she seemed to make a wide circle. So if she killed last night, hopefully it's in that area, and hopefully we'll be lucky. Of course, Brent is also around there, but he has less opportunity to find her because he won't be wandering through the bushes like we are, getting our leggies wet. Right. Okay, well, on that note, let's go across to Brent, whose legs are far better suited to what I'm doing than my short, stumpy ones.
Well, James is being very funny this morning. He's even making me giggle. Thank you for coming to help me, Jamesy. We're going very, very slowly. I just heard on the opposite side of the reserve there have been female leopard tracks spotted. So I wonder if that's Shidulu. And, well, of course, there's been lots of debate around Tralamba, Tundi's cub. She started behaving like she had lost her cub a week or 10 days ago. But since then, Taylor found cub tracks, and then I found cub tracks, and then the cub appeared on the dam cam. So yes, we have seen cub tracks recently. I think that area James and Herbie and Jandre are heading into off Gari cut line, which is a very difficult area for vehicles, as well as a well-known gremlin habitat, is possibly where she's keeping the cub at the moment. But hopefully the bushwalk team, who can sneak in and out of there a bit better than we can, will be able to let us know if they have any success or see any tracks in that area. So what we're doing is we're hoping Tundi is out hunting. She didn't catch anything last night, so we might see her out in the open, and if she does catch something, she'll maybe go back and fetch Tralamba to bring it back to the carcass. Okay, we're about to come up to Buffelshoek. Craig, predictions? Animals at Buffelshoek down? Waterbuck, hippo, terrapin. All safe ones from Craig. Oh, Rebecca says giraffe. There's be hippo today. What if things at this time? Blacksmith wing. I'm hoping we're all wrong and there's a leopard. Waterbuck, well done, Craig. Sorry, apparently we had a small little gremlin glitch as we came up. Well, Craig, what did you say? Waterbuck, hippo, and terrapin. Well, of course, Craig has got all three. And Waterbuck's disappearing behind the bush. The terrapins are everywhere, and the hippos are there. Okay, we're just gonna let's get a bit closer to the hippos, and then we're gonna switch off and listen again for a little bit. Oh, what an absolutely gorgeous morning! After the grey overcast weather we've been having, to get some of this gorgeous light is just mwah! Ah, there we go. There's the waterbuck through there. There's a little fluffy. They're so dainty. An elegant waterbuck. So far, we're not hearing much outside of the normal sort of dawn bird chorus. There we go. Some hip-hop anomalies. I suppose that's quite adept. Hippos, hip-hops, the beatboxers of the African bush. Are you going to give us a little chortle this morning? No. It's quite nice with this light coming from behind them. You can even see the hairs on their noses and ears. There we go, let's have a quick look. You can see the little hairs on his ears, his nose. Now, of course, there is a story about when Hippo was hairy. The hippopotamus used to have the most luscious long locks in the whole of the African bush, but it was very, very vain, and it used to boss and order the other animals around, because apart from being very beautiful with its long locks and very vain, it was very big. So the one animal it tried to boss around was Mangawan, the jackal. He was said to be very, very clever and the trickster. So Hippo used to lie on a lovely lush mat of grass and used to not live in the water, and used to demand that jackal and other animals bring it food all the time, and it would just lay there and say, "I'm too beautiful to forage," until jackal stole a coal from the human village, and while Hippo was sleeping, put that coal under his grass mattress, and woof, into flame Hippo and its long glorious locks went. Hippo charged off to the closest river to put out the fire, plunged into the water, and then came out and looked at its reflection. Who was talking? Someone was saying what lovely reflections we were having this morning. Reptilian? Oh, I can't remember now. I'm sure Rebecca will tell me shortly. Reptilian researcher. There we go. So then Hippo looked at its ghastly reflection in the water, and then decided it shall live its days in the water, and only come out to feed at night when no one could see its hideous visage. And that is the story of when Hippo was hairy. I'm trying to remember, was that a Zulu or an Ndebele tale? I think it was a Zulu tale. Very peaceful here at the waterhole this morning. Now, in this particular water body, as Matt has so correctly pointed out, there are no lily pads. But Matt, there are quite a few different species of lilies in South Africa. They just generally don't really occur in these sort of dams. This dam has also been recently rebuilt in the last couple of years, and we haven't had the best rain, so it hasn't quite got back to what it was. And also with the drought, a lot of these waterholes became empty, so things like the lily pads were to died out. But there are Chitwa Dam's got quite a few lily pads in the northern section, and Twin Dams used to have, but again it's been rebuilt recently. So the little pan behind Twin Dams, that's got some lily pads, but generally they occur in sort of very permanent waters, like the Sand River's got quite a lot of lily pads and other places. So yes, there are lily pads, Matt. There just aren't lily pads here at the moment. They might come. So their seeds and whatnot are moved around by aquatic birds, and maybe once the dam has been established and settled again, after a few years, they might start growing in Buffelshoek Dam, provided it doesn't dry out during a dry period. Okay, no alarm calls breaking the dawn. Let us go to the northern boundary and see what's happening there, see if there's any tracks coming in and out along Buffalo's Hook cut line. In the meantime, it seems like Taylor is ready to wow you with something, I'm not sure what.
Now there's so much pressure and I've got nothing to wow you with, Brent. Setting me up to fail like that. Well, I can tell you something that's quite cool. It's amazing. It smells like we're in a farmyard at the moment because I heard a buffalo cross through here. Must have crossed between yesterday morning safari and then the afternoon safari. Well, when Rebecca and I went for a swift walk, we did see all the dung on the ground. I can just smell it as we're driving through. It really just does smell like we're on a big dairy farm at the moment. It's wonderful. Really quite nice. So I'm just having a look to see if there are any lion tracks perhaps going over them. Maybe they picked up the scent late and trying to follow them, but I can confirm that there's not. There's none. I don't know, maybe the animals are like, what is this nice weather? Where is the rain? Where is the wind? Where is the cold? Well, that's how I'm feeling. I feel a bit strange seeing the sun again, the glare, you know. It's heavy. I thought you were going to do hissing noises as I did that. Anyway, so we are looking at lots of hyena tracks at the moment. Many. However, I did hear reports of female leopard tracks around Quarantine somewhere. They're talking. Ooh. Wild dog tracks around Safari Driveway. I'm going to go and look for wild dogs this morning. That's on Arathusa. No, they're not listening. So I think if we go and check Balanites, VM, I think we must go up Zoe's Road though, all the way to the Balanites junction. I'm going to ask them. I'm going to come and help them. Please, may I come and give you a hand in the area? Hyena! Hyenas! Hyena! 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Copy. I've just located some hyena from Sandy Patch North going towards Sandy Patch South. Look at them! Hi guys! What's happening? Very nice. Hello, hyena. There are many of you today. Oh, where have you all come from? There's how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 hyena. There's one that watch these guys. Look how they've got their noses to the ground. Look like they're trying to pick up on the scent of something. Lead us to a leopard, please. We'll follow you. I bet you're all jumping up and down going, yay, hyenas. Even me. Here comes one. Look, they're smelling something. Can now do a big whooping call for us, please. That's beautiful. This is another hyena that looks like Professor Lupin from Harry Potter when he turns into a werewolf. Beautiful, this backlit, eh? Golden hyena. Okay, I can hear lots of birds and things shouting up ahead, but that might be because the hyena... I'm trying to hide from BM. Ah, Gabriella, I'm glad that you like that I get excited when I see hyena. I get excited when I see any animal, especially if I haven't seen an animal all morning long. My goodness, I'm a jump for joy. I would have got out and done a handstand and a cartwheel, but then I probably would have chased the hyenas away. So we'll try and drive behind them slowly. The go-away birds that have been alarming around this area now for quite some time, and I did the same route earlier, but we're going to follow the hyenas because perhaps they're going to lead us to what the go-away birds have been alarming at. I just didn't get off the car because I didn't want to get my shoes wet. So we'll just let them carry on, and then we'll see. No, which way are you going to go? You're going to go up for your... Where are you going to go? You're going to go back up for your till access. I can just see a civilian vehicle on the road. Because the hyenas are plotting their attack. They're going to eat the white car. Get it! Get it, hyenas! See, that one's running on in. I'm just joking. That's not what the hyenas are going to do. They're just sort of watching it. I don't know which way these guys want to go. Would you want to go left, right, left, right? This is always awkward. You know, when you try, no one knows who's going to walk through the door first. So we're just going to carry on going past them very, very quickly. Hi there. Sorry, I'm live. Right, look here. Everybody wants to stop and have a big conversation, but I can't have a conversation today because we're trying to find leopards. Bex, please can I have that all again? What are you all smelling? Now, there were tracks of other hyenas running up and down, so perhaps it's just from them. Maybe one is scent marked over there. But they're all sticking together today. I don't know if any of you know which hyena is which. I don't. I don't see Djuma. She's definitely not here. So, Carol, hyenas do a number of different things in terms of trying to get food. They can scavenge very well. They can also hunt exceptionally well. You see, they're really, really good at kleptoparasitism, which is basically just stealing kills from other animals. They can do that. But don't let that fool you. In the Sabi sand, hyena love to hunt kudu. And especially down in the south, we would see lots of hyenas taking down kudu. And in the Mara, they'll go for wildebeest, they'll go for zebra, they'll go for anything. Which is pretty epic that they're able to do both. But I suppose lions and leopards are good at scavenging too. Now, hello Chris, great to hear from you this morning. So typically when we refer to hyena as a group of them, we'll say a clan. Normally with dogs, we'll say a pack. And yes, there is a leader in a clan of hyenas, and can you believe it, it's the females. So it's a matriarchal system. Unfortunately, the males have no say when it comes to decision making within the clan, so there will be a dominant female. And then there's a hierarchy system amongst the females too. So you'll have a dominant female, her offspring will be dominant too, or more dominant than others, and well, then you work your way up and down. And some of the lower ranking females, if there is a big carcass that the whole clan can come and feed on, they won't be allowed to feed straight away. They'll be chased away. They might not even be allowed at the main den site because hyenas utilize termite mounds as dens. Now they've split up here. What's going on? 2 down there, 4 going straight along the road. We'll follow the ones that are the easiest to follow. I don't think I'll be doing much off-roading for hyenas. Let's see if we can meet up with them again. Hello, everybody. I saw some females. There's some males here. It's really hard to tell. Stop like this again. Now, I've seen hyenas with bigger bulging bellies before, so Sida, no, I don't think they look full. And I wonder if they aren't on the prowl one last time before it gets too hot. I'm just listening to the radio, but Brent's got it all handled. He's chatting away to Lex. So I don't know where these hyena are going. It's like they've got an idea. I don't know what their idea is. They seem to be walking in a direction with determination. They're just going to go around the bend. So we play the catch-up game with hyena. And I hope they stay on the road. So we're on Vuyatela access, and they're heading back towards quarantine. And remember, Lexus said that he had some female leopard tracks up around quarantine. Maybe they've heard a distress call from far away. Normally, if they've heard a distress call or something, they'd come charging on in, though. They'd be, running. I think they may be just being opportunistic. They're walking. They have an idea where they need to go. Let me go into first gear. Yeah, that might be a bit easier. We're going to have to just keep moving. But we'll go very, very slowly. This is quite a nice, smooth road. What's got your attention? Very curious about us and everything around us. Over here, I'm looking. I wonder if they're going to come onto the road again. The one's coming behind the car. I think this one is looking back for the other two. They're not looking at us. Now, hyenas actually make quite a bit of noise. They're very chatty. You can just see the back of the vehicle. Come on, you can come past us. Don't act like you're scared to come past the car. You come running into camp. I'll tell you a story just now about that, in fact. So, Kalina, they do typically make a lot of sounds when they greet one another. They're very chatty. When they're trying to locate one another from a distance, they'll use whooping sounds. Normally, the most vocal hyenas are males, but no one really answers them when they call. They just sort of get ignored. Hello. But around the den site, when the youngsters are all playing with one another, the cubs, or when one of the females comes back to the den site and haven't been seen for a while, then they become quite chatty as well. You're coming back. Oh, interesting. Oh, yeah. Hello? Yeah, you're not scared. Work out what's actually going on here. Really hard to say, of course. This is awesome. You're coming up to say hello. Okay, well, Brent seems to have a feathered friend in a tree. Let's go before it flies away.
It is a beautiful feathered friend. It's a batelier sitting in an retired knobthorn tree. Now, bateliers often have very, very, very particular spots where they like to sit frequently. So it's always worth stopping and looking and listening. So I've just heard now that there are lion tracks also possibly heading in this direction. So it's always worth just stopping and listening. Remember, we found the Torchwood Pride before they had the fight by the Nkuhumas by actually hearing them feeding on a warthog. Unfortunately, they were just north of the boundary, which is where we are now. Oh, I'm loving this morning. It is so nice to be out here. Okay, so let's head up towards Cheetah Cut Line, see if those lion tracks do come back from Torchwood. Okay, so that's quite exciting. I'm just going to let Chris know. So while I'm chatting on the radio, let's send you on to some animals that are marching in single file.
Now, as many people in Johannesburg, the lamentable settlement that is the biggest city in South Africa, are doing right now, they are sitting in the traffic, so are these ants doing the same thing. There is something of an ant traffic jam going on here, and it really is quite astounding. Obviously, they've been going up and down this road for, I don't know, a long time, because they've kind of dug themselves into a little canyon. And they've come all the way along here, little red ants that Rebecca says constitute some form of ant art. I'm not sure that that's necessarily true, but that nevertheless, there they are. And this is the hole from which they've emanated. I'm sitting next to it. And in fact, they seem to have just stopped coming. No, there comes another one. Now, where are they going? Why are they going? Who knows? Going into another hole the other side there. Why? I don't know. I saw one of them kidnapped by a much larger ant with a big head. It really is fascinating. Anyway, there they are, going about their business. Somehow they know what to do. No one really knows how they know what to do. I can only think that they're moving nests because there must be some. Let's just go across to the other end and see if we can't find some evidence of why they should be leaving. Maybe they're raiding a termite mound, I'm not sure. While we do that, I have been carrying this friend for a little while. This is a tick. And it was lurking on the side of the road on the end. Ooh, Jean-Ray, your camera's covered in these little orange copper ants. The tick was waiting for a mammal just such as myself to go past him and leap onto and then bite. Thankfully, I managed to avoid being bitten by capturing him myself. And I know that we find this difficult to say, but all creatures in nature have their place. All of them have their own form of beauty, even the disgusting tick. Let's throw him away. Good luck, tick. Come, let's go and look over this end. Gyrolam or Gyrolam, you say these ants seem very intelligent. Well, as I always say with intelligence, here's where they're going, Jondry. There's actually a hole in the ground here. Look at this. All animals, Gyrolam, are as intelligent as they need to be. And by very virtue of the fact that they exist, and look at the sun catching these beautiful copper-coloured ants. By very virtue of the fact that they exist, we know that they must be sufficiently intelligent for what they need to do. Now, in terms of ants, I don't know that they are able to do things like trigonometry, like a human being is able to do. In fact, I'm fairly sure they can't. But, interestingly, they act almost as an organism. So there is a sort of social intelligence amongst this colony, whereby they all sort of strive towards the same purpose without obvious communication. And so there's a collective intelligence amongst the ant colony, which is lamentably absent, for example, in our own species. We're individually fairly intelligent, some of us absolutely not. But we don't seem to have a collective intelligence. But the swarming hymenopterids, so the ants and the bees, have a collective intelligence. Carol, you want to know if these ants have a leader or not. Carol, no, they don't have a leader. They will have a queen who will be laying eggs frantically to make all of these ants. She doesn't give orders, though. You know, it's not like she sends out dispatch riders to tell the ants where to go, or a vast number of emails to her network to tell them where to go. She's just a laying machine. So how they know where to go and what to do is very difficult to actually know and very difficult to figure out. It's a little bit like the bees. Bees we'll understand a bit more because, of course, they have commercial value, which therefore inspires us to try and figure out how they operate. But these ants, very difficult to know who made the decision for them to move from that one hole and set up shop here. But just, Jondry, I'm not sure if you can get this, but the light shining on them is just magnificent. It's gorgeous copper colour. Right, we're going to go from the copper ants to the semi-copper locks of Brent Leo Smith. He seems to have found another footprint.
I didn't understand that, James. I'm sure it was very insulting, though. But anyway, unfortunately, I told you we heard about some lion tracks heading in this general direction. And I think we missed them probably by about half an hour or 45 minutes. If we look here, the whole pride line here, and you can just see where they all have been lying and sleeping. And there's quite a cool one here. You probably can see it quite nicely from there. You see that one, Craig? It's the tail that's been lying here, moving a little bit, and then swished. But unfortunately, they've headed straight east towards the Kruger boundary. Now, this could be the Torchwoods, this could be the Nkahumas. Both of them come into this area, so there could still be another pride of lions further to the south. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to head off in a southerly direction, down Cheetah Cut Line, and hoping that we have some luck. Now, there's something very, very exciting happening on the other side of the reserve, but I'm not going to give it away just yet. Hopefully Taylor can get there. It's quite close to where she was. Oh, I've heard she is on a proper Ferrari safari, breaking all speed limits. Wendy must have its nitrous oxide little tap turned on. Or it could just be Taylor's heavy foot. Okay, you can see the lions have walked all the way down Cheetah Cut Line. I'm just making sure, you never know, they might duck back in. but unfortunately, yes, they've gone to the east. I'm pretty sure these are the same tracks, but quickly across to Taylor.
Right, we're racing. Hold on, seatbelts on. Wild dogs. I hope we're going to catch them. I can see the vehicles just up ahead. Lex got them on Impala Plains. We were on Impala Plains, and we checked the Power Lines road, so we must have just missed them. They probably were moving through the bushes as we were going, but they're coming this way. Just trying to figure out where exactly Lex is. I don't see the dogs yet. I do see some cars up ahead, but they're not our vehicles. Let me just quickly get hold of Lex. Oh, here they are. I'm going to pull off the road and give them the right of way. Yes! Brenty's going to be so jealous. I'm so sad he wasn't here. We were obviously just much closer. Very cool. Very, very cool indeed. I bet you're all super excited. Oh, look, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 8 or 9 of them. So is this the Mbambili breakaway pack? Is it the Ngala male here with a collar? I can't see one with a collar just yet. I actually don't know which pack of dogs this is. But here they come, racing past us. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, I absolutely love wild dogs. Alright, I'm just sitting nice and low. They're coming around us. Hey, how cool is this? We are so lucky. Like, the thing with wild dogs, of course, is that when they move, you have to move too. They fly. Hi, doggies. That's so cool. You should have seen how fast I was going. You've no idea. All right, now this is the fun part where there's going to be, unfortunately, 17,000 vehicles. We, of course, are not going to pester them too much. We might actually, I don't think we're going to get another view. Anyways, I hope you enjoy. That's fine. If they go onto our property, everybody else is going to have to leave. So let's hope they go back onto our side. This is the problem with boundary roads, of course. If they go onto our property, that's fantastic. Okay, fabulous. They're back on. Let's turn around. Let's go off-road. They're running too. I wonder if they've seen a daycare or something. Some of them have run in, some have staying on the road. We'll try to get another view here. Hold on them as we bounce around. They went chasing something in here. Let's just sit and listen. A lot of impala around at the moment, a lot of daycare, a lot of animals in this area. Let me go further forward. You can quickly see, you can see there's some down there. So most of the pack has actually run from what I can't actually even see them anymore, but they've run onto Djuma. But it's so thick, so thick in here. So we're just going to have to kind of wait to see where they've gone. I don't know where they went. I actually completely lost them when I tried to turn around. I can't hear any alarm calls though. There's a couple more. 1, 2, 3. They often do this, bouncing from either side of the road onto either properties, waiting to just hear something. Of course, they've got those big ears for a reason. Massive ears. Everyone likes to describe them as big Mickey Mouse ears, and they need them, like cone-like ears like that, so that if a daycare does shoot off in the grass and rustle the grass, they can be able to pick up on that sound. They're going to head in that direction. Like I said, we're not going to join the queue of vehicles going down the road. We'll hang back and hope that they do turn onto our property and let them do the thing. I think Lex is also pulling out. Maybe he's going to keep up just a little bit. But for us, it's not going to be very pretty. And there are a lot of vehicles here. There's now 6 of us. That's too many vehicles to have in the sighting, I'm afraid. So I will be one of them to at least pull out until they jump back onto Djuma again. Let's go see if we can't take a seat back here. I'll have a look. Maybe we can still see them. I'm just going to go down here quickly. And as we're driving, tomorrow I'll happily answer your question about how big packs of dogs can get. So yeah, you see there's a couple that are bounding in and out. They're bounding between Arethusa and Djuma at the moment. Power lines, the main road, all the cars. So the biggest pack that I've seen was the Toulon pack, and at one point there were over 20 odd of them. There were lots of them. They'd had like 13 puppies. But I, of course, this was a long time ago. You see, there's more. They were all on Djuma, but they're coming back out. They've obviously been called back out. I don't think they'll get too much bigger than that. I mean, I think an exceptional size is, 25, maybe 30 dogs when they've had all their little puppies. But remember, it's a tough life, with all the young predators often having a very low success rate, making it to adulthood. And with wild dogs, especially because they're such social creatures, and we know how diseases are a huge problem for them. Rabies, canine distemper, all these different types of things is not ideal. And when one member of the pack gets them, or gets something like that, they spread it fairly easily because they're constantly greeting one another. They're very, very social animals, which is why they're such successful animals. Such successful hunters. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'm sure there were 8. I don't think there were 9. I think there may have been 8 here. I'm not sure if any of you know which pack this is. I always find it particularly hard to identify which pack it is. If you do know, we haven't had the greatest of views, either the clearest or the longest views. You can hashtag Safari Live. That one at the back has got a very white tail. Look, it's so cool. Very long white tail. And the one just ahead of it's got some very interesting sort of cream markings on it as well. Very exciting. Pauline, that's what I was actually hoping was going to happen. Maybe those hyenas were on the scent of the wild dogs and trying to find them. It's one of the funniest things to see out in the bush, the interaction between hyenas and wild dogs. The wild dogs like to chase the hyena around and nip at their ankles, kind of like how a sheepdog does when it's herding sheep. And then they just chase the hyenas around and they bite their ears. I've never seen a pack of dogs ever kill a hyena, but we can always ask James and Brent if they've ever had any sightings like that before. I have not, but I've seen them bite and make hyena bleed before. But hyenas come in hoping to steal the kill of wild dogs. If there's enough hyena, they definitely will be able to, but they don't like each other. They definitely torment one another. Wild dogs doing most of the tormenting, however. This is so cool. See, they're listening. They're deciding where they're going to go. They haven't got a plan just yet. They're waiting for an animal to basically give away itself by making a noise of sorts. Or if they pick up its scent too. But it seems to be like they're listening at the moment. I can't tell you how incredible their hearing is. I reckon they'd hear a pin drop on the floor. Turtle dove calling hard, hard. No, please don't bring another vehicle into the sighting. There's too many of us. And you can see why I'm going to keep my distance. I'm not actually sure who this pack is and if they are denning at the moment. So Cheryl, I don't think that they've got any puppies. They might. I mean, they might just be on a hunt and they could go back to the den site. However, there haven't been any reports, to my knowledge, of any dogs denning within the area. The most exciting thing about when you do have wild dogs denning on your property is that they'll be there. You'll see them regularly. I just want to slow this car down because there's no point them pushing through the sighting, as they're going to hit a wall of wild dogs and lots and lots of vehicles, and there's no ways that they're going to be able to push past them. But let me just let them know what's actually going on up ahead, and while we do that, I'm going to send you across to James.
Now, what we have here, while you've been looking at the great hunters that are the painted wolves of Africa, I'm very jealous of you, is my very first golden orb web spider of the year. Now, to find your very first golden orb web spider of the year in April is something of an unusualness, and I don't think that the numbers of these things have recovered since the drought of a few years ago. And so there were hardly any around January when I came back from my leave. I don't think during our whole TV series in February, it wasn't February that we had our TV series, was it? Yes, somewhere around there. I don't think that we had any golden orb web spiders at all, and that's when you'd normally have them. And so we've had quite late rains this year, quite a lot of late rain, and slowly, perhaps the populations are recovering after the drought. So this, for those of you who are not initiated to the golden orb web spider, is a female golden orb web spider. She's not particularly big. She's harmless to human beings, despite the fact that she looks like she could probably swallow your head. She's about... They do get up to the size of my hand. I'm just putting my hand there so you can see her relative size. Totally harmless to human beings. And they're called golden orb web spiders because, unsurprisingly, they make a golden orb web. Oh, Kendall, you want to know if spiders sleep? Well, it depends on the spider, really, a little bit like human beings. As we know, the Spanish, Greek and Italians like to have a siesta in the afternoons. So sometimes, the bark spider, they have a kind of New York work ethic where they don't sleep at all. They work deep into the night, whereas the golden orb web spider tends to be a little more Latin lazy, if you like. I'm talking absolute rubbish, Kendall. They must sleep in some shape, way or form. I don't know anything about spider sleep, I'm afraid, though. So, I don't know. I think they probably sort of go dormant at night time. These ones, bark spiders, the opposite. They'll be dormant during the daytime. And what that'll mean is it'll just slow down the metabolism. They won't use any energy moving around. Whether their brains shut off like ours do, I really don't know. I mean, that golden orb web spider, with all due respect to it, does not have a very large brain at all. It's a much larger abdomen. Beautiful thing. And as Rebecca says, it is as intelligent as it needs to be. Well done, Rebecca. Now, if we come over to the web, there are a few interesting things about it. First of all are these knockdown threads or support threads here, which if I touch them, you can see are not sticky. They're not at all sticky. So somehow that spider, intelligent as it needs to be, knows that it supports threads which come out of the same spinnerets that the sticky stuff on the main orb web comes from. Somehow it knows not to make these ones sticky. But if I put my hands onto the main web, if I can get my hands through, and touch that, my fingers immediately get stuck, and I'm not going to do it much more than that because I'll tear it apart. The golden orb web spider also makes a very messy web, and the circles are not quite as concentric as they are on something like a bark spider's web. They often are slightly incomplete, so she stopped making the circles about 2/3 of the way to the middle. That's quite interesting. And also, the one thing that they are very fastidious about is to keep the husks of their dead prey in a very neat line. And we think that is to make birds see the web and so they don't fly into it and destroy it. I have found things like blue waxbills caught in these webs before. Marvellous. I don't see a male anywhere, which means she may have been mated already and then devoured her lover. They have that disturbing habit, a little bit like the praying mantis. Alrighty, we're going to continue looking for Tundi on this drainage line. While we do that, let's go back across to Brent Leo Smith, who is still looking for lions.
Well, we're checking some of Hasana and Tingana's favourite haunts in the last little while. Unfortunately, no tracks just yet. lots of dew and wet grass this morning, so if the leopards are on the move, hopefully they are going to be trying to avoid that and walking down the roads or the big game paths. I think if we have no luck in this little area here, it might be time to go visit Chitwa for a little while. See if we can scrounge around there and pull a leopard out. Depending on what you're looking for, Grace, depends on what you say the easiest track to find. I mean, you can find lots of tracks, Impala and Woodbuck and Wildebeest, but the tracks we search for of the sort of predators, or elephant tracks, also very easy to find. But out of the lion, leopard, cheetah, wild dog, which are the main animals that we spend a lot of time tracking, lions are by far the easiest to track and to find, as they move in big groups. Even though dogs move in big groups, their tracks are so small and they are just so highly mobile all the time that makes them very difficult. Leopard and cheetah also difficult. Cheetah in this area tend to avoid all roads if they can. They'll cross them, they might walk down them for a little bit, but as a general rule, cheetah tend to avoid the roads. And the reason they do that is because the lion, the leopard, and the hyena tend to like walking down roads a lot. So cheetah don't want to come into contact with any of those other predators. So they tend to walk through the blocks, which makes them quite hard to track. But wild dogs, because they just cover so much ground. Leopard, because they are so much lighter and you're only following a single track. And cheetah, because they don't like to walk down roads, whereas leopard and lion do. But yeah, so out of all of those, lion's probably the easiest to follow, to track. Hello, little waxbills. Well, hopefully Taylor might be able to show you some wild dog tracks, Shamsung. I personally don't find it... they're just being very naughty, going into the grass there on the side. I don't find it difficult to distinguish between hyena and wild dog tracks. Wild dog tracks are very specific. They're much more elongated. The two front toes stick out a lot more. They're much smaller and narrower. Hyenas also have that funny way of walking. They don't walk with their feet going straight. And wild dog tracks are often wild dogs jogging. Okay, there, now stay out in the open. Stay out in the open. Oh. Let's try it one more time for these little wax balls. Oh, there's one in the open. On the right-hand side of the road. Hey, they're so pretty, the little blue wax balls. And I have a... Rebecca says they're like little teacup birds. Oh, birds that are painted on the side of teacups. I got it now. Sorry, bit slow. And also, apparently, according to Rebecca, they can fit in teacups. Yes, it wouldn't be much of a cup of tea if your cup could just fit a wax ball. It'd be a very small cup of tea. Apparently, we're talking about Queen's tea like a lady, so I assume you need to put your pinky up for that type of tea. Not the type of tea we drink out of large mugs at 5:30 in the morning before going on drive. Okay, lovely little birds. Now, they're quite clever. I suppose you could call them quite clever. So they have a symbiotic relationship with paper wasps. And what they do is they'll look for paper wasps. Oh, there's a koran as well. They'll look for paper wasp nests, and they will build their nest next to the paper wasp. And it looks like a female red-crested koran. Was it a male? Difficult to see. It's a red-crested koran. Oh, quite a relaxed one. Normally they're ducking and diving and disappearing off into the bush. Doesn't want to get wet. I think that's exactly what's happening here. trying to sit in the sun. You can see when it turned slightly, I could see that the front feathers were quite damp. Obviously, I said a lot of dew, a lot of moisture in the grass. So probably just trying to do a bit of drying out on the road. Okay, I think let's go to Chitwa. Maybe we'll get some nice birds at the waterhole, at the dam, as well as maybe a spotted friend. That's the first for me, Stanley. Says the Quran is a dwarf ostrich. It's very, very much a dwarf ostrich. But yes, no, unfortunately not related to the ostrich, but very, very, very observant of you, Stanley. Okay, now let's go see if the little chief or Tingana are around on Chitwa. I haven't heard anything yet this morning. Now, we've been having very late and very good late rain this year. So, James, there is always a possibility we might get some nomadic bird species coming through, depending on the area. Could bring in things like corncrake, which we saw a while ago, only once that we've ever seen it on live drives. Birds like that. Also, we might get some other smaller migratory raptors coming back through for another feed before heading up to the north, like Amma falcons. I did see some Ammas in Hoedspruit, or driving between Hoedspruit and Palabora yesterday. So there is a possibility, James. I hope so. I very much hope so. Now let us see if the little scallywag Hosana is about on Chitwa. We're going to check his favourite hangout around the dam wall first. Oh, it sounds like Mr. Henry has found some scrapes in the sand. Let's go see who made them.
No, that would be a great exaggeration. Mr. Henry's found absolutely nothing in the sand, but Herbert, the wizard, has found something in the sand. Now, he tells me reliably that what we're looking at here, where I'm going to circle with my stick, is a leopard track. Can you see how obvious it is? You can see exactly that that's a leopard track, and it walked off down towards where Herbert is standing in the drainage line right now. He's now coming back towards us. I am, of course, being entirely sarcastic because I cannot see anything there. I can vaguely see that some soil has been sort of maybe disturbed. Here's the other one. He tells me reliably is a leopard track. It really is quite astonishing how he's managed to see that. Now, I have a condition known as monocular vision, which means I don't see depth of perception very well, and so that's why I put it down to my not being able to see it, but not even Jean-Dre, who has excellent eyes, is able to see these, and so I'm going to just put it down to wizardry on the part of Herbert. Well, I suppose it's quite good that we have managed to see these tracks. And Rebecca says not even she can see it, and she sees art in everything. Rebecca, I'm not sure you quite got the point of what I was making there, but I'm very glad that you can see art in everything. I'm sad you can't see it here, because I very tastefully placed two tambuti leaves in the tracks there, and I'm very sorry that you didn't see any art in that. Right. Herbert says, no further tracks down there. Let's go this way. We'll go past this little puddle of these little pans. Now, when people talk about water distribution and artificial water distribution, and they say, we talk a lot about the dams that the Sabi Sands has, and there's a lot of debate over whether they're good or a bad thing. This kind of pan. If I was to provide artificial water is how I would do it. I would put them on the banks of the old rivers, where perhaps there was more water than there is now, and that would maybe mimic a little more accurately where water used to be before, human activities dried up a lot of the rivers that run through this area. Because this Mlomathi drainage must have run at some stage. I mean, it's quite a canyon in there. So at some stage, it must have formed an actual river. So that's how I would do it. I would mimic it by digging little pans along the rivers. Meg, you want to know if Herbert grew up tracking? He did, not leopards. He grew up tracking cattle. A lot of the Shangaan people out here, or a lot of the kids, grow up tracking cattle, because what they do is they're sent out as youngsters from the tender age of about 5 or 6 years. You're going to make it through here, Jondry. If I suddenly get far away from the camera, it's because Jandre is unable to follow me through this thicket. From about 5 or 6 years, they go into the bush. They herd the family's cattle and goats, and this happens all throughout Africa. Why it's developed into a tracking tradition here, I'm not really sure. But what happens is, of course, the kids then start to play. They get bored of looking after the cattle go off and graze, and the kids start playing, or often in these poor communities where Herbert grew up, they'll be trying to hunt for food, so they'll go and set a few snares for little birds and see if they can catch those. They'll go and look for honey from stingless bees' nests. They'll go and pick fruit, and they'll just horse around like kids do. And then suddenly they find, 4 hours later, the cattle have disappeared. And now they need to find the cattle. There's a big stick there we won't get over. And so then they have to track them. And that's resulted in this tremendous tradition of tracking amongst the Shangaan people here that doesn't seem to exist nearly as strongly in any other of South Africa's peoples, and certainly doesn't exist amongst, for example, the Maasai, where where we operate up in Kenya. You're going to make it through here. I'm challenging Jandre's limber athleticism. He's doing very well. He's just pulled a tree down on top of himself. There we go. All right, Jandre. And it's interesting, I think possibly the Maasai spend more time actually with their cattle than the guys out here do. Difficult to say. But so, yes, he did grow up tracking cattle, and that he's then transferred that, of course, into his magnificent wild animal tracking skills. All right, we're going to go back to Taylor while Jandre extracts himself from that gymnosporia thicket. There, he's done it anyway, which he's going to tell you what happened to the dogs.
Tell him to watch his step and hope he doesn't slip in some mud. Now, we've left the wild dogs as they went into an area we can't drive. Now we're following up on the leopard tracks that Lex had, and I think they may be Tandi's. It's obviously always hard to tell. I think Tandi's just trying to make a point at the moment, and advertising in a lot of different areas that she is around, and she's not willing to go down without a fight. I think she's kind of trying to rub it in Shaduli's face a little bit. So we're just trying to figure out. I'm also not sure where James is and those leopard tracks that he had. So we had them and they cut off Vuyathela access here, just west of quarantine. Now I'm just trying to see where they actually go. I've still got all the hyena tracks too. But it definitely looked like she was scent marking up against trees and things like that. So we will just have a little scratch around here and see if we can pick up on anything. There are plenty big marulas around here, lots of termite mounds. So James is further east of us. Okay, perfect. Okay, so I think James is on the tracks of Tandi from yesterday. I would imagine that the proximity from where Tandi was left last night to where those tracks are now, it would make sense that it is her. It's maybe a kilometer, if even that, as a crow. No, not even. I don't even think a kilometer, probably like 800 meters or something. It's not far away at all. So I think that it was her that was around here. We just need to figure out where she's gone now. Kev, this is a hard one to answer. I don't know if there's any scientific evidence that shows that animals relate vehicles to predator activity, because we also sit with hippos, we also sit with rhinos, herds of impala, giraffe, elephants. So, we're not just with the predators all the time. So I don't know if anybody has ever done a study. Obviously, vehicles have been interacting with animals, for instance, in the greater Kruger area for a very, 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 very long time. And they're intelligent enough, I reckon, to work out something like that, especially something like a hyena, that has got far superior intelligence to a lion. Lions are definitely not unintelligent, that's for sure. Obviously, they can work out how to hunt. They know that being social with one another strengthens the bond. So it's not that they're unintelligent, but hyenas are definitely better problem solvers than a lion or even a leopard. And same thing with honey badgers. Even mongoose have got, sort of large brain cavities. Anyways, so I don't know. I can't say that I've ever seen a direct relationship between predators realizing that there's prey around or prey realizing that there's predators around. I can't answer that personally. I've never noticed anything. I mean, hyenas are curious by nature. They investigate all the time. For example, last night, I think Steve was the one that ended up getting up. I was too cold. I just refused. I've chased away too many hyenas in the DRC. Somebody ran in and decided to take one of the bins. Even though it was empty, there's nothing in it at all, because we empty them every single night. But obviously, even after you wash it, there's still that smell, that human scent. We've been touching all sorts of things. And can you blame an animal that is so intelligent and has such a super sensitive sense of smell? It would be so intrigued and probably couldn't help itself. What is the smell? But I can only imagine that hyena running out with a big and they're massive bins too, but they're so strong. And we know hyenas are strong because we've watched them carry huge leg bones of hippos for kilometers, no problem. Just running with them as if they were as light as a feather. So that's quite cool. So they're curious creatures. Hyenas, whenever there's a car around, you'll always see a hyena coming over to say hello, sniff the tires, smell what's going on, and then off it goes, minds its own business. I really would have loved to have followed that clan of hyenas this morning. I think that would have been so cool to see where they ended up. But of course, when you get the notification that there are wild dogs on the property, you are always going to take the wild dogs, because we don't get to see them as often as we've been able to see the hyenas. So I'm glad we got a very quick glimpse of them. I've been lucky. I think that's like the third time this cycle I've seen dogs. I think it was the third time. Super spoiled. Yeah, it is the third time. So spoiled. I can't believe my first work cycle back from Kenya has just been incredible in terms of game viewing, which is surprising because of how green and how tall the grass is and how bushy the trees are. Normally it makes it quite difficult to see those types of things, to see lots of leopards, to see all the action, but that definitely hasn't stopped it. So anyway, I can now safely say that normally I would say the best time of the year, of course, is to come in the winter months, coming up to the northeastern corner of South Africa, because, everything is dry and it's easier to spot things. But this cycle has just proven that it doesn't matter how green it is, it's still been spectacular in terms of game viewing. Right, off we go to Brent. He's arrived at Chitwa and he's still got his tracking goggles on.
Well, these tracks we're not going to find, I'm afraid. But I thought I'd show them to you anyway. This is a different pack of dogs. I heard there were tracks on in Coral as well, so this is where it's going. But as I said, it's quite easy to tell the difference between hyena tracks and dog tracks. And see, let me turn around there, better. So you can see they're quite long and skinny in comparison to a hyena track, which is generally quite broad, and those very distinct two front claws sticking out there. And also the way in their movement, they're a lot more straight than hyena tracks. I'll try to find a hyena track that doesn't seem for once to be a hyena track. Normally there's a hyena track everywhere. But I know this is a different pack of dogs that the guys were following up on this morning, but it sounds like they've gone into Kruger. So unfortunately, but there we go. There's a wild dog track. Quite a long way away from where those other dogs are. But of course you never know with dogs. But just the fact that there were tracks heading this way means this is probably a different pack. Now, as most of you know, wild dogs are by far my most favorite animal. And unfortunately, Sarah, yes, hyenas are definitely smarter than wild dogs. Hyenas are probably smarter than everything else out here, to be honest. There's some really interesting research in terms of hyena intelligence and development of intelligence happening at the moment. And strangely enough, the interesting thing that's being studied at the moment is that the least dominant hyenas seem to be smarter than the more dominant hyenas, because they have to be sneakier and trickier to ensure that their genetics pass on without being killed by one of the bigger, stronger sort of bullies. So the higher ranking you are, the less smart you have to be. It's not saying that higher ranking hyenas aren't smart, but the lower ranking individuals are much smarter. Now, you will find that in quite a lot of the sort of more intelligent species, including a lot of the different primates. The lower ranking you are, the smarter you've got to become to survive. Chimpanzees, baboons, there's quite a lot of that behavior that has been recorded, but not so much as in hyenas. Hyenas, they're very clever. When it comes to the rest of the animals, hyenas are very, very clever. So we're checking the southern boundary of Chitwa at the moment, seeing if we have any sign of Hosanna or Tingana that have been around this area quite a lot frequently in the last sort of couple of weeks. And we can also have a little check for Kuchava a little later. I don't know. As I say, after all this rain, tracks are quite difficult to see. But my tracking goggles are on. Now, the thing is, around here, especially in the morning with all this dew, we're really hoping that leopards are either going to be sitting up on a termite mound or walking down the road. There's a hyena disappearing, and I can hear. Oh, it's disappeared. Not yet, Black Red, not yet. Hyenas are definitely not smarter than humans yet. But who knows, in a post-apocalyptic world, who will become the dominant mammal? Will it be Howard? Unlikely. But there's been some comparisons. I'm just trying to see if we can get a view of this hyena again. It's disappeared into the long grass. So there's been quite a few comparisons made between chimps and hyenas recently, and in certain aspects some of the research shows that hyenas are smarter than chimps, but overall I'd say chimps and dolphins are still smarter than hyenas, with human beings being the top of the smart tree for now. Okay, I'm going to see where this hyena is heading and see if that Franklin might be alarm calling it a leopard as well. In the meantime, I know James is also searching for leopard all the way back to the north of us.
Well, yes, leopard's search has slightly been arrested by the finding of a white button sedge, which of course is indicative of a lot of water. And we were just walking through this grass, Jondry and I, saying how it feels like January grass. It doesn't feel like April grass at all. It shouldn't be wet like this at this time of the year, and wondering why that should be the case. And I just wanted to go back a little bit, Jondry, to try and find some of the moisture on these Panicum maximum flowers or stalks. And while I do that, I shall just tell you that the discussion we were having was obviously around about the changing climates, and Jondry was telling me that the North Pole, when was it, Jondry? Last year? Earlier this year, was at one stage 10 degrees warmer than Europe. Now, that just seems very odd to me. So if you come back through here, here we go. Here. These panicum culms, or guinea grass, that there looks just like a piece of water that's got stuck. A piece of water, a drop of water. It isn't. It's sugar. There's a lot of dissolved sugar in it. And if you look down at my pants here, you'll see little white marks. And that comes from this dissolved sugar that is on the panicum grass. So you can see why it's such a sought-after grazing grass. I'm just going to taste it now. Look, I wouldn't say it tastes like an Easter egg or anything like that. I suppose it's vaguely sweet. Okay, let's carry on. What we've done, I'll just quickly tell you, we found some tracks of the cub from yesterday. We found Tristan's tracks from where he was obviously following Tundi yesterday. We're backtracking onto the road here to see if she hasn't crossed, and then we'll do a loop back around towards where we had the tracks, because we think they're from yesterday and we think they're from the cub, and so we need to try and figure out where Tundi went, because if she has killed, of course, she will have moved the cub and taken it towards where her breakfast is. Good. Careful, Jean-Andre, you're going to fall over that bush there. There we go. Feeling a bit awkward. On we go. Now, wisteria, you're wondering if plants go into some kind of dormancy stage during the winter time. They do, absolutely. Remember that here, temperature is not a limiting factor for animals or plants, but a lack of moisture is in the winter. So normally it would stop raining around about this time of year, and we wouldn't see rain again, possibly until November, but for the odd shower. That means a lot of plants will go dormant. The grasses will absolutely go dormant fairly shortly. The trees will start to lose their leaves, and if Jondri points you towards this marula tree over here, its leaves are starting to wilt, despite the fact that there is still pretty good water around, and that's just the early onset of autumn, or fall as you might call it in the United States. And interestingly, the combretum trees around us, which are the most common bits of greenery that you can see, very slowly turning a bit yellow, but I would say not as yellow as they would normally be at this time of year. They will lose their leaves. All of those plants that lose their leaves have gone pretty much dormant during the winter months. And like I say, it's not so much because of the temperature like it would be, say, in North America or in Northern Europe, where it gets snowy and below freezing. It never drops below freezing here. It's because there's just not much water in the soil, and so they just go dormant for the winter season. But there are a few plants, South American plants and what was I going to say? South American plants and African plants that will, in fact, leaf in the winter in order to avoid competition. All right, let's go back across to Taylor. She does not go dormant for very long at all, ever.
I'm actually about to take a jacket off. I'm not very warm. It's so nice to feel the sun against my skin again. I promise you, it's crazy how you really miss the sun. I mean, how long didn't we see the sun for, VM? Like for a week. Was it that long? Didn't feel like a week. It probably was only 2 days, but it felt like a week. So it's going to be so nice. Watch away this afternoon. We'll be complaining that it's too hot. Okay? Can never please us. So I have no idea where Tundi has gone. I think what we're going to do now is I'm trying to drive a road that no one else has driven yet. I'm like, where have all these vehicles come from? They're ahead of us this morning. So we're going to go past the bushprice sites on the open plains behind camp, and then we're going to take the southern road and drive all the way around just to see if we can't see if she maybe turned and came back this way. And then we'll probably check a bit of Twin Dams onto Ingwe Alley and just sort of zigzag around and see if there's any sign of her. Otherwise, we'll just have to try again this afternoon. We know she likes to move in between drives, so it wouldn't surprise me at all if she's maybe just resting up now. Like I said, I think she's trying to, make a name for herself again, or just reinstate her name. slightly wiped off a little bit. It's like, you know, when you lean against a chalkboard and you rub off some of your writing, but you can still sort of see it there. That's what Tandi's like at the moment. She just needs to reestablish herself properly. With Okamori coming around, with Shidulu moving in, you know, all these things are changing. Okay, we're almost on the road. I want to check. I don't think anybody would have driven that road. It's not a road that gets driven often. Hala, what are you looking at? What were you staring at? Nothing. Impala just being Impala. Cautious. Okay. Oh, no, someone has driven it. How is it even possible? Leave some roads for us. I'm going to check. Oh, okay, we're probably not going to go on this road then if it's already been checked. Everyone's on form today. Or maybe they turned. Let's see. Maybe they turned and went right. Maybe someone was going to clean up the Bushbra side. Do the tracks continue? Yes. We win. Everyone was just going into the Bushbra side. Perhaps there was a little soiree here. Maybe last night or the night before. It was freezing last night back in camp. We actually should have made a fire. But I think we are having a braai tonight, a barbecue. We don't say barbecue in South Africa, as most of you know. Wendy, you are not sounding healthy. I'm going to have to take you into Opa after safari time. Friday, gotta get down on Friday. That was a request from Rebecca in Final Control. Oh, there's hornbills. Hello, hornbills. And a squirrel. Here's the yellow-billed hornbills, just sitting nicely. And then VM, I don't know if you see the squirrel. Hello, squirrel, we've caught you. Now, yesterday I was getting some questions about if you did watch the sunset safari, we were looking at a marula tree that had been damaged by elephants as well as termites. And then we found some marula nuts sort of wedged in between the bark. And a couple of you were asking me, how on earth is that from a squirrel? And so I think what was happening is I think that squirrel was actually sitting in that open gap where the termites had sort of eaten away at the trunk of the tree. And then once they were finished with the nuts, just dropping them, you know, off the edge. And because there was such a wide gap between the bark and, well, the trunk of the tree that the elephants had sort of pulled away, they got wedged in there. So that's how I think that happened. Okay, you guys are not doing much for us. Not catching insects. Squirrels not eating nuts. Fine. Bye then. We'll go find something else. Okay, so good news is that no one has actually driven this road. You're all asking if it's Rebecca Black that works in Final Control. Sometimes she acts like her. No, this is Rebecca, let me get the surname right, Christensen. I have a nickname for Rebecca, but I'm not repeating it live. Almost, Bex, almost, but that's why I just had to say it properly and get your full name out there. So now you can go and stalk her on Facebook. Now you know. Although I suppose you see all our names on the credits, Sam. Okay, so no one has driven this road. No one has even walked on this road except Impala. Except about 300 Impala have been moving around here. Otherwise, it looks fairly quiet. Do you know what I'm still amazed about? And we're obviously doing the school drive. Was those marabou stork tracks? They were massive. They were bigger than my shoe. Which was crazy. Okay, well, we'll keep searching. No signs of fresh leopard tracks. Perhaps we'll go back to the last ones. Otherwise, we'll just go look for something else. Or if we go back to Brent, she's, well, listening.
We just had a run of squirrels alarm calling, which they've gone quiet, but the Franklin is still alarm calling, and I'm not sure. Unfortunately, it's just south of our boundary. So I was sort of hoping that a head was going to pop out, or Sana or Tingana was just going to pop out of here. Let's just do another check past there. There's something going on. I mean, the hyena was heading in this direction. We had squirrel, 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 and then the Franklin all alarming in the same area. Now, it could just be a snake, or, but Now they're just shouting, the Franklins. It seems whatever was here was moving more to the south. It's just going very slowly past this area again. Unfortunately, you don't see anything. This was a favorite area of Thandi when she had Tamba, this little river system here. Just off Chitwa, just off the airstrip. Oh well. Oh, there's a bright red beast. So let's shoot past it. It's a tractor dragging the airstrip. Let's just move away from that. It's quite noisy. Oh, what was that? Sometimes you see dusky larks here on the Chitwa airstrip. It flew off, whatever it was. I'm just going to try get away from the tractor. Now, we spend a lot of our time following alarm calls, whether they be from mammals or birds. Carol, yes, as a general rule, alarm calls are only for predators. Sometimes they will alarm call at something they think might be a predator. I've seen impala alarm call at a funny stump before. But yes, it's if they think there is a predator there, they will alarm call. And sometimes the problem with following alarm calls of the smaller things like birds and squirrels is because they're so small, they have a lot more predators. So they alarm at a lot more things. They alarm at birds of prey, they alarm at snakes, they alarm at slender mongoose. So it's just, but it's always worthwhile just spending some time and really making sure. Now, for me, it's always a fascinating process because someone that James and I both know quite well, a man by the name of Renes Mhlongo, he can sort of speak squirrel. He can decipher what the squirrel is alarming at from the call. So I'm hoping that one day I'll be as good as Renes. So I always like to sit, listen and watch, even if it's squirrels or Franklin, to try and figure out what they're alarming at and sort of store that in my brain for later. Okay, let's go check the Mulwanini above the dam. Oh, tiny, hello little Prinia. No, don't despair. He just went behind. Let me just try. And he's a tiny little bird, very dainty little bird. I quite like them. Busy little birds. It's called a tawny flanked prinia. Okay, see this little bush here? There he is. Oh, he just called something. Chop! I really do enjoy them. Fat little insectivores. And you also eat spiders. Taking advantage of quite a lot of the insects that are still quite sluggish from the heavy dew in the morning. Busy little guys. These are not very fresh by the looks of things. It did rain here a bit yesterday afternoon. Let's have a quick look. Let me just have a proper look here quickly. They've been driven over in that, but they are leopard tracks by the looks of things. From the size, probably Hosanna. Let's see if I do that. If I had to put a fresh track, and you would see it, but it would come out quite a lot darker. And if I put my hand flat like this, and I push really hard, you can see it barely makes a mark. So this happened when this ground was a lot more wet, and that's why he sank down. Also makes his tracks look bigger than they are, so that's why I think it's Hosanna. Okay. Yesterday morning, not the most fresh, but let's go check for more Wanini, as we were going to do. Now, certain species alarm calls sound similar on it. The one that the group that sounds the most similar is sort of the spiral horned antelope. So Nyala, bushbuck probably sound the most similar, but and kudu's quite a lot louder and deeper, and Nyala is quite a lot deeper than a bushbuck. Bushbuck's got a short bark rather than a longer bark. So those probably sound the most similar. Impala, nothing really sounds like an impala, but something that I have had many a battle with, and I would alarm call that if I saw, is what James has got currently on bushwalk.
She's not talking, is she?
I can hear something in my ear. Are you depressing your mic by any chance?
I might be. Oh, we are live. Hello everybody, sorry about that. I thought maybe we might be live. This is a hairy caterpillar, which I have bravely and selflessly picked up. I keep pushing my radio button, that's why we thought we went live. Anyway, what it is going to become, I'm not sure, but at the moment it is a rather fearsome-looking creature that no bird, I believe, would try and eat on account of the hairs on it, and I wouldn't want it on anything other than the hard skin of my fingers. Because these hairs, if it got down your back, or got onto your sort of soft bicep tissue or something like that, I think would be very unpleasant. It's now burrowing through my fingers. Ugh. 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 Isn't it frightfully scary? Oh, sorry, my friend. It'll be okay, everybody. What I wanted to show you was its digestive system. You can actually see, if I hold it in the light like that, you can see its digestive system operating. Can you see that? Every so often when it moves, when it sort of expands, you can see a very sort of interesting movement of fluids inside the body. It might actually just be the sort of hydraulic movement of fluids through the body to make it move. Karen, you say, is it an itchy worm? I think it's going to become an itchy worm. It would be an itchy worm if I put it on softer skin than that on my hands. I can certainly feel a bit of itch on my hands, but not very bad. I think if you got that on your back, or on the sort of, like I say, the soft skin of, say, your inner thigh, for example, it would be absolutely frightful. Joy in Hong Kong, what an interesting question. You say, do insects have alarm calls? Insects normally will, in fact, stop calling when they sense the presence of a predator. So I can't think of any insect that will start to make an alarm calling noise, because normally, of course, most insects are small enough to be eaten by anything they're afraid of. So, for example, the cicada beetle, or cicada bug, it's not a beetle, will stop calling. You know that they stop calling when you try and find them, and that's generally the response that most insects have to being approached or to seeing predators. They just stop calling entirely. So now I don't think that, I certainly don't know of any insects that have a specific alarm call. There might be a few, but I don't know of any. Nice to have you with us all the way from Hong Kong, Joy. I bet you don't get much of this sort of landscape we're sitting in Hong Kong. Cat Brad, you say you think this guy's a very pretty colour. Well, he's the same colour as those ants that we had earlier. I don't find him very pretty, I must say. Now, I know that many of you become quite offended as soon as I say anything about not finding something out here particularly pretty. I don't find that caterpillar particularly attractive. In fact, were I to find it in my room, I would be slightly repulsed, and I would send it out. Rebecca thinks he's very pretty. She thinks he looks like the sunrise. Well, you know, each to his own. Rebecca does say that she can see art in anything. I mean, there's a certain magnificence to this creature, but there certainly is, I am failing to discern a great deal of beauty. Rebecca's making a very good point. She says maybe he's a bit more photogenic in real life than he is, than he looks in real life. You know, some of those people who are, well, not particularly attractive to look at in person, but on camera, they look all right. I think that's what we have here. Right, we've come up Hyena Road to look for tracks of Thandi. We have found none. We are now going to cut into the block back towards where we had the first tracks that I showed you. Hyena Road, of course, sort of, I'm going to say about 200 meters to the east of where we found the track, and we showed you that invisible patch of ground that Herbert showed us. So we've come all the way around, and we're now going to go back towards there and see, sort of zigzag through the block and see if we don't find anything there. I can feel this thing that has been on my hand. I'm not sure if it's psychological or if I'm actually been infected and that I may be dead come the next segment. Genre will show me regardless. Let's go back to Taylor, who is not having much more luck than we are.
Well, now I bet you're all worried sick that James is going to die live. Well, got to do it for the show, hey? Show must go on. James will be okay. He's not going to start from caterpillar hairs in his hands. He'll be okay. He's a tough man. Ooh. There's a bird singing a song. You can just see its head. Hello, African grey hornbill. I haven't actually seen one for a while. I've just been hearing them. There we go. It's going to start calling again. Come on. Don't be shy. Intimidated by Rebecca Black, I think. Oh, well. Alright, off we go. Well, nice to see one of those hornbills, though. They were always confusing. I'll never forget when I first came up to the Lowveld, because I never saw the African grey hornbills down in the Eastern Cape, and I can't remember if I saw them in Zambia either. And the first time I heard one calling, I was convinced it was a raptor of sorts. Their call is quite interesting. We'll see if we can find another pair. Now, VM and I are driving Mandoza Road to try and have a look to see if we can find any leopard tracks here, but we are not having any luck. We're actually just not having any luck with any animals today. It must be too warm for them now. It's so beautiful in here, though. What else can I hear? There's someone else that's shouting. Bush shrike. I think I can hear a grey-headed bush shrike. Let's see if we can find it. Is it? No, it's a cuckoo. Why did I say it's a Jacobin? I don't know why I said that was a bush shrike. I'm going to find it for you now. And here are the hornbills again. Okay, I'm focusing on the trees. Where are you, cuckoo? I was seeing him here. That was a spur file. I don't know where the cuckoo is now. The cuckoo has stopped calling now. I don't know where it is. Ah, there it goes. Bye, cuckoo! Off you go! I wish I could put this radio on open mic right now so you could hear Rebecca singing to me. I don't know that. Sounds like it's an Australian song, but I don't know that song, Bex. Unfortunately, so I cannot sing it. Do you know it, Vim? Okay, John, sing it for everybody. VM wants to sing you a song. You know. What was that? It is an African green pigeon. You're lucky, VM. You got saved. Saved by the pigeon. You got it. Very lucky. I feel like this is an African green pigeon hotspot at the moment because it's Gwari Central. No, it's not Gwari Central as in the roads, but there's just lots of Gwari trees around here. Hello, beautiful bird. Are you just eating the ones that we want to eat? Of course you're going to eat the red berries. Right, it's eaten 2. Let's count how many berries it's going to eat. 3 before it flies off. Oh, there's another one. How many are you going to eat? I wonder how many Gwari berries would take to fill the crop of this bird. I wonder. It's amazing because... Oh, yes, Rebecca, that's quite true. Bex has just pointed out it's like us eating chuckles, which is a type of chocolate, or speckled eggs, and you get these 2 types of chocolates from Woolworths, which are our favorite shop in the whole wide world. And I suppose there's no limit. There's a never-ending pit. For some reason, you can eat bags and bags of those 2 types of chocolates, and well, you just never get sick of them, ever. So perhaps that's going to be the case with the Gwari berries. They are delicious. I get a bit sick of them. I can only eat so many. I do love them. They're very tasty. But you can see even these pigeons are being picky and choosing the deep purple ones. Leave some for us. Well, at least the birds are happy to see us today. Looks like they're wearing bright yellow socks. Well, not socks, but like leggings. And they're such pretty birds, and they even have a little bit of purple on them too, but you can't see it now. It's normally just on the equivalent of a bird's shoulder, but we cannot see the shoulder because it's, well, it's internal. Where'd you go? And it's all just bounding about there. I think it was a drongo trying to mimic an owl, but the way that it went, it sort of did the, and then just gave up and went, and like did a bit of a scream towards the end. So I don't think that was actually a pearl-spotted owlet. I think that may have been a drongo trying to mimic one, and is getting upset that it can't get the tune quite right. Well, thank you, African green pigeons. That was very kind of you to show yourselves to us. My voice is disappearing, which is everyone will be very happy about in camp. I don't know where it's going. Now, I'm surprised we have not seen more vervet monkeys and baboons. So yes, Crazy Shady, we do actually see lots and lots of vervet monkeys and baboons in this area. Do you know where they are at the moment? As I say this, anybody that is trying to sleep in camp that's perhaps got the morning off will hear animals running on top of the roof. There's a massive buffalo thorn at the moment that's dropping fruit, and they all seem to be heading in that direction and feeding on that tree. So I don't blame them. And then I think they also test the kitchen door to see if anybody hasn't locked it properly, so they can go in there and of course have all the delicious processed sugar and all the carbohydrate, you know, their favorite things. I bet you they'd leave the fruit alone and they'd just go for the chips and chocolate. The cookie jar. No, that's smashed. They smashed it. They got that one. Oh, hello. Vulture, where are you going with those twigs? Oh, there, Jim. In that marula. Oh, that was perfect. Wow, a pair of white-backed vultures carrying, and one of them, not both of them, but the one that was flying, as you saw, and a yellow-billed hornbill. What are you doing here? Is it like in charge of the site? Estate agent, says Wiem, is the hornbill.